The escape pod screamed through space like a dying animal. Inside, Lieutenant Kieran Holt gripped the controls with white knuckles. Red warning lights flashed everywhere. The computer voice repeated the same message over and over. Critical failure. Critical failure. Come on. Come on, Kieran whispered through clenched teeth. He punched buttons on the emergency panel, but nothing worked. The pod had already been caught by the planet's gravity. There was no escape now. Through the small window, he watched his mother's ship disappear into the darkness of hyperspace. At least his crew was safe. He had drawn the enemy fire away from them. That was what mattered. The pod hit the atmosphere hard. Fire covered the windows. The heat shields were failing. Kieran strapped himself in tighter and closed his eyes. "If anyone finds this," he said to the recorder, "tell them I didn't give up." Then came the impact. Everything went black. Pain woke him up. His head hurt badly. Blood had dried on his face. Kieran opened his eyes slowly and saw that the pod's door had been ripped away. Warm, sweet-smelling air filled the broken ship. He checked his body carefully. Bruised ribs, cut on his forehead. Everything else seemed okay. The emergency kit was still there. Water tablets, medical supplies, a knife, and a small charger. But the distress beacon was completely destroyed. "Great," Kieran muttered. No way to call for help. He climbed out of the wreckage, moving slowly. His whole body ached. The sight outside made him stop and stare. 2 suns hung in a purple sky. The jungle around him looked like something from a dream. Giant trees with blue and purple leaves reached up like towers. Thick vines hung down like ropes. Everything was beautiful but strange. Something moved in the bushes nearby. Kieran froze. His hand went to his side, looking for his blaster. But it wasn't there. The movement stopped. After a few seconds of silence, Kieran started breathing again. He gathered what supplies he could carry and began walking. He needed water and shelter. The horizon would send a rescue team eventually, but that could take weeks or even months. He had to survive until then. After walking for about an hour, Kieran found something that made his blood run cold. Stone pillars stood in a perfect circle. Each one was 3 meters tall and covered with spiral patterns. In the center was a flat stone altar. Dark stains covered it. "What is this place?" Kieran whispered. He walked further and found more strange things. Trees with deep cuts forming patterns, paths worn into the ground. And then he saw the statues. They showed female figures, tall, muscular, holding weapons. Each statue looked like a warrior. Kieran studied one of the statues carefully. The figure wore armor made of scales. She held a spear in one hand and a blade in the other. Her face was fierce and proud. "Someone lives here," he said quietly. "Someone dangerous." A twig snapped behind him. Kieran spun around and his heart stopped. 20 warriors surrounded him. But these weren't statues. These were real. They were tall, at least 2 meters, with skin that ranged from deep bronze to dark purple. Their bodies were pure muscle. Each one carried weapons that looked deadly sharp. They were all female. The warriors formed a tight circle around him. Kieran raised his hands slowly, showing he was unarmed. His military training screamed at him to stay calm, show no fear. These were clearly intelligent beings. Maybe he could communicate. One warrior stepped forward from the group. She was taller than the others, with scars running down her arms like badges of honor. Her eyes were bright yellow and locked onto Kieran like a predator watching prey. She wore a helmet made from some creature's skull. She walked around him slowly, studying him. Then she leaned close and sniffed the air near him. Her eyes went wide with shock. "A male," she said in a rough, deep voice. The words were in a language Kieran didn't know, but somehow his neural implant translated them. A human male. The other warriors gasped and whispered to each other. Some raised their weapons higher. The leader held up one hand. The group went silent immediately. She continued staring at Kieran with an expression he couldn't read. Was it curiosity? Hunger? Anger? "The prophecy speaks truth," she said softly. "A male falls from the stars when the twin suns align." She raised her spear high above her head. The other warriors did the same. creating a forest of deadly weapons all pointed at the sky. Then the leader turned to face her warriors. Her voice became a shout that echoed through the jungle. "Sisters, the trial of worth begins now." The warriors roared in response. The sound shook the trees. Kieran's blood turned to ice. Whatever was about to happen, he knew one thing for certain. His fight for survival had just begun. The warriors dragged Kieran through the jungle like a prisoner. His hands were bound with rope made from vine fiber. It cut into his wrists. He didn't fight. Fighting 20 armed warriors would be suicide. They arrived at a massive village carved into the trees themselves. Bridges connected enormous platforms. Buildings made of stone and wood sat high above the ground. Hundreds of female warriors stopped what they were doing to stare at him. Kieran saw no males. Not one. Only women and young girls. The leader pushed him into a large circular arena. The ground was dirt mixed with something dark. Blood. Old blood that had soaked into the earth over many years. "Sit!" the leader commanded. She removed her skull helmet. Her face was beautiful but hard, with 3 scars running across her cheek. "I am Commander Zara. You will answer my questions. Lie to me, and you die quickly. Tell truth, and you might survive." Kieran sat on the ground. His military training told him to gather information, learn about the enemy, find weaknesses. "Where are your males?" he asked. Zara's expression darkened. Several warriors around the arena hissed at his question, but Zara raised her hand for silence. "Gone," she said simply. 100 years ago, a plague came. It killed only males, every single one. Old men, young boys, babies still growing in their mothers, all dead within 10 days. Kieran felt sick, an entire gender wiped out. "I'm sorry." "Sorry?" Zara laughed bitterly. "Your sorry means nothing. We adapted, we survived, but our bloodline grows weaker with each generation. We need males, fresh blood, strong blood." She pointed at the sky. "Sometimes, males fall from the stars, like you. When they do, we follow the old law. The male must prove worthy. If he passes the gauntlet, he lives. If he fails," she gestured at the blood-soaked ground. "And if I pass?" Kieran asked. "Then, the warriors fight for the right to claim you. The strongest takes you as her mate. Your children become the future of our tribe." Kieran's stomach twisted. He wasn't just a person to them. He was a resource, a tool for survival. "What is this gauntlet?" he asked. Zara smiled, showing sharp teeth. 5 challenges. Each tests something different. Strength, speed, intelligence, courage, and survival. She leaned close. 23 males have fallen from the sky in 100 years. Do you know how many passed all 5 challenges? Kieran shook his head. 0. The word hung in the air like a death sentence. The first challenge was called the Climb of Blades. Kieran stood before a cliff face covered with sharp rocks that looked like knives. He had to reach the top, 30 meters up, without falling. The warriors gathered to watch. Some laughed. Some looked sad. All seemed certain he would fail. Kieran studied the cliff carefully. He noticed something the warriors might have missed. Small plants grew between some of the blade rocks. Plants meant moisture. Moisture meant the rock there was softer. He climbed slowly, testing each hold. When he reached the softer rocks, he used his knife to carve small grips. It took twice as long, but he reached the top without a single cut. The warriors' laughter died. Some whispered to each other. The second challenge was the sprint of arrows. Kieran had to run across an open field while warriors shot arrows at him. Not to kill, to wound, to test his speed and reflexes. Kieran didn't run in a straight line. He zigzagged, dropped, rolled, and changed direction constantly. Every movement was unpredictable. Arrows whistled past him, but only one grazed his shoulder. He reached the other side breathing hard but alive. The third challenge was the Puzzle of Ancestors, a stone door covered with symbols. He had to open it using logic. Kieran studied the patterns carefully. The symbols matched the constellations he'd seen in this planet's night sky. He pressed them in the order they appeared at sunset. The door opened. The fourth challenge was the Walk of Trust. Kieran was blindfolded and had to walk across a narrow bridge over a deep pit. Warriors whispered false directions to confuse him, but Kieran didn't listen to their voices. He felt the vibrations in the wood beneath his feet. He sensed the airflow. He walked slowly, carefully, and reached the other side. 4 challenges complete. The warriors weren't laughing anymore. They watched him with respect and something else: hunger. Commander Zara approached him. Her yellow eyes gleamed with interest. No male has ever survived 4 challenges. You are either very lucky or very clever. I'm a survivor, Kieran said, wiping sweat from his face. Then survive this. Zara gestured toward a massive gate made of iron and wood. Strange scratches covered its surface. Claw marks. Deep ones. The 5th challenge is simple, Zara said. Inside that gate is the hunting beast. It has killed every male who reached this point. You go in alone. You have no weapons. Either you kill it, or it kills you. She leaned close and whispered, No human has ever seen this creature and lived. It is faster than our fastest warrior, stronger than our strongest. Its teeth can crush bone like dry wood. Kieran stared at the gate. He could hear something moving behind it. Something big. Its breathing sounded like a storm. Why do you do this? He asked quietly. Why not just let males live? Zara's expression softened for just a moment. Because weakness kills species. If a male cannot survive, his children will be weak. Weak children become dead children. We learned this lesson in blood. She stepped back. Are you ready, Lieutenant Kieran Holt? He wasn't, but he had no choice. The gate slowly opened. Darkness waited inside, and then Kieran saw them. 2 eyes, glowing red in the shadows, each one the size of his head. A roar erupted from the darkness. It wasn't just sound, it was rage, made physical. The ground shook. Birds flew from the trees in terror. The creature stepped into the light. Kieran's blood turned to ice. It was twice the size of an earth bear, with 6 legs and a head full of teeth like swords. Its skin looked like black armor. Spikes ran down its spine. Saliva dripped from its mouth, burning the ground where it fell. The hunting beast. The killer of 23 males. It looked at Kieran and smiled. Then it charged. The beast's claws tore through the air where Kieran's head had been a second before. He rolled hard to the left, his ribs screaming in pain. The creature's acidic saliva hit the ground, burning a hole in the dirt. Kieran scrambled backward. His mind raced. No weapons, no armor. Just his mind, against 6 legs of pure killing power. The beast charged again. This time, Kieran didn't dodge. He ran straight toward it. At the last second, he dropped and slid beneath its massive body. His knife, his only tool, slashed upward, cutting a thin line across its soft underbelly. The creature roared and spun with terrifying speed. Blood dripped from the wound, but it wasn't deep enough. The beast was barely hurt, and now it was angry. Think, Kieran. Think, he gasped. The arena had stone pillars around the edges, old support columns. An idea formed in his mind. Dangerous, possibly stupid, but it was his only chance. Kieran ran toward the nearest pillar. The beast chased him, its 6 legs pounding the earth like thunder. He could feel its hot breath on his back. Closer, closer. At the last moment, Kieran dove to the side. The beast couldn't stop. Its armored head smashed into the stone pillar at full speed. The sound was like a bomb exploding. Cracks spread through the ancient stone. The creature staggered, dazed. Blood poured from its mouth. Kieran didn't waste the opportunity. He climbed onto its back while it was confused. The beast thrashed wildly, trying to throw him off, but Kieran held on, wrapping his legs around its neck. He took his knife and drove it deep into the beast's eye. The creature screamed, a sound of pure agony. It threw itself against the walls, trying to crush Kieran, but he held tight, pushing the knife deeper, twisting it. Finally, the beast stopped moving. It swayed once, twice, then collapsed like a falling mountain. Kieran rolled off its back, gasping for air. His whole body shook. He was alive. Somehow, he was alive. The gate opened. Warriors poured in, staring at the dead beast in complete shock. Some touched its body as if they couldn't believe it was real. Commander Zara approached slowly. Her face showed something Kieran hadn't seen before. "Ah, impossible," she whispered. "You used its own strength against it. You didn't fight with power. You fought with mind." She turned to the other warriors. "The human has passed the gauntlet. He is worthy." The warriors roared with approval. They chanted something in their language. It sounded like celebration, like hope. But Kieran barely heard them. His attention was fixed on something else. Someone else. The crowd of warriors parted like water. A figure walked through them. Tall, powerful, moving with the confidence of someone who had never known defeat. She wore armor made from silver scales that caught the light of the twin suns. Her skin was deep purple, marked with scars that formed patterns across her arms and shoulders. Each scar told a story of battle, of victory. Her eyes were the color of liquid gold. But what made Kieran's breath catch was the crown on her head, made of bone and metal, twisted together like thorns. This was no ordinary warrior. Commander Zara immediately dropped to one knee. Every warrior in the arena did the same. The silence was absolute. "My queen," Zara said, her voice full of respect and fear. The queen walked past her without a word. Her golden eyes were locked on Kieran. She circled him slowly, like a predator studying prey. Kieran forced himself to stand still, to show no fear. She was even taller than the other warriors, at least 2.5 meters. Her presence filled the entire arena. "So," she said, her voice deep and smooth like dark honey, "this is the male who defeated the hunting beast." She leaned close, studying his face. "You are small, weak-looking, soft." She touched his arm, feeling his muscle. "How did something so fragile kill our greatest predator?" "Intelligence," Kieran said, meeting her golden gaze. "I used strategy instead of strength." Something flickered in her eyes. Surprise? Interest? "I am Queen Valus," she said. "I have fought 300 battles. I have won 300 battles. I have killed creatures that would make the hunting beast look like a pet." She walked around him again. "I have ruled this tribe for 20 years, and in those 20 years, I have never chosen a mate." The warriors whispered to each other. This was clearly significant. "Do you know why?" Queen Valus asked. Kieran shook his head. "Because no male has ever been worthy of my strength." Her golden eyes blazed with intensity. "Weak males create weak children. Weak children destroy tribes. I swore I would rather die alone than weaken my bloodline." She stopped directly in front of him, so close he could see the scars on her neck. "You interest me, human. You survived what 23 males could not. You think differently, fight differently." She tilted her head. "But interest is not enough. Before I decide if you are worthy of consideration, you must understand the truth of our world." She gestured to Commander Zara. "Show him the stones of failure." Zara's face went pale. "My queen, are you certain?" "Males who see the stones often." "I said show him," Queen Valus commanded. The warriors formed a line, forcing Kieran to walk. They led him through the village to a place he hadn't seen before. A clearing, surrounded by more stone pillars. But these pillars were different. They had chains attached to them, and at the base of each pillar lay bones, human-looking bones. Kieran felt sick. "These are the stones of failure," Queen Valus said, her voice cold. "When a male passes the gauntlet, a warrior claims him. He becomes her mate. But if he proves weak, if he cannot father strong children, if he shows cowardice or tries to escape," she gestured at the bones, "he is brought here, chained, and sacrificed to the ancestors. His weak blood is returned to the earth where it can cause no harm." Kieran stared at the bones. Some looked old, some looked recent. "How many?" he asked quietly. 7, Queen Valus said. 7 males passed the gauntlet in 100 years. 5 died in childbirth, their bodies too weak for our world. 2 were executed here for weakness. She stepped closer to Kieran. Her golden eyes burned into his. This is our way, human. This is how we survive. Strength or death. There is no middle ground. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Tomorrow, you will witness an execution. Another male failed his warrior 3 days ago. He tried to escape back to his crashed ship. Kieran's blood ran cold. There's another human here? Was, Queen Valus corrected. By sunset tomorrow, he will be bones like the others. She turned to leave, then stopped. Her next words chilled Kieran to his core. Watch carefully, Lieutenant Kieran Holt. Watch and understand. Because if you disappoint me, if you prove unworthy, she looked back at him over her shoulder, you will die screaming on those stones, and I will be the one holding the blade. The warriors dragged Kieran away to a locked cell. His mind spun with horror and disbelief. He had survived the impossible, defeated the undefeatable beast. But his true test was just beginning. And somewhere in this village, another human was counting down his last hours of life. They came for the other human at dawn. Kieran pressed his face against the metal bars of his cell. He watched as warriors dragged a young man across the village square. The human was thin, barely 20 years old, with terror in his eyes. Please, the young man screamed. I didn't mean to run. I was scared. Please. No one listened. The warriors chained him to the execution stone. The entire tribe gathered to watch. Even the children came. This was a lesson, a warning. Queen Valus stood on a platform above the crowd. Her golden eyes were cold and empty. She raised one hand and the crowd went silent. Marcus Chen of Earth, she said, her voice carrying across the square. You were claimed by warrior Thora 3 months ago. She fed you, sheltered you, protected you. And when she asked you to fulfill your duty, you ran like a coward. The young man sobbed. I wanted to go home. I have a family, a sister. We all have families, Queen Valus said, her voice sharp as a blade. Your weakness endangers our children. Your cowardice poisons our bloodline. She looked at warrior Thora, a scarred woman standing near the stone. Do you wish mercy for this male? Thora's face was stone. No, my queen. He has shamed me. Let his blood wash away that shame. Queen Valus nodded. She drew a curved blade from her belt. The metal gleamed in the morning light. Kieran's hands gripped the bars so hard they turned white. His military training screamed at him. This was murder, cold-blooded execution. He should be horrified, disgusted. But a darker part of his mind understood. These people were dying. An entire gender wiped out. They were fighting extinction with the only weapons they had, discipline and strength. Weakness wasn't just a personal failing here. It was a threat to survival itself. Queen Valus walked down the platform steps. The crowd parted for her. She approached Marcus Chen with the blade raised high. Wait! Kieran shouted. Every head turned toward him. Queen Valus stopped, her blade frozen in the air. Her golden eyes locked onto Kieran with dangerous intensity. The human speaks, she said slowly. This should be interesting. Let me talk to him, Kieran said. 5 minutes. That's all I ask. Why? Queen Valus demanded. Because he's human, like me, and I want to understand what he did wrong before I watch him die. The queen stared at him for a long moment. Then she smiled. A cold, calculating smile. Very well. Commander Zara, bring the prisoner to his cell. They threw Marcus into Kieran's cell. The young man collapsed on the floor, shaking uncontrollably. Tears streaked his face. You're Lieutenant Kieran Holt, Marcus whispered. I heard them talking about you. You killed the hunting beast. Yeah, Kieran said quietly. He knelt beside Marcus. Why did you run? Because this place is insane, Marcus sobbed. They wanted me to breed like I'm some kind of animal. I'm an engineer, not he couldn't finish. You knew the deal, Kieran said, his voice harder now. You passed the gauntlet. A warrior claimed you. That was the agreement. I didn't agree to anything. I crashed here just like you. Marcus grabbed Kieran's arm. You have to help me. You're military. You can fight them. We can escape together. Kieran pulled his arm away. Escape to where? Our ships are destroyed. We're millions of kilometers from any human outpost. Even if we survived the jungle, we'd die of starvation in weeks. So what? We just accept being breeding stock? We accept reality, Kieran said. These people are facing extinction. They're not evil. They're desperate. Their entire species depends on males like us. And yes, that's terrifying and unfair, but it's also their survival. Marcus stared at him like he was crazy. You're actually defending them? I'm understanding them, Kieran corrected. There's a difference. He leaned closer. You ran because you were afraid. That fear made you weak. And weakness here doesn't just hurt you. It hurts everyone. Every child that might have carried your genes. Every generation that gets weaker because of cowardice. So I deserve to die? Marcus whispered. Kieran was silent for a moment. In their world, yes. In ours, no. But we're not in our world anymore. Commander Zara opened the cell door. Time is finished. They dragged Marcus back to the execution stone. This time, he didn't scream. He just looked at Kieran with hollow, defeated eyes. Queen Valus raised her blade again. For the strength of the tribe. For the future of our blood. The blade fell. Kieran watched without looking away. He owed Marcus that much. To witness. To remember. When it was over, Queen Valus turned to face him. Blood dripped from her blade. You spoke with him. What did you learn? That fear makes us weak, Kieran said clearly. That survival requires sacrifice. That your way is harsh, but necessary. He met her golden gaze without flinching. You don't kill because you enjoy it. You kill because you must. Because protecting your species matters more than individual comfort. Something shifted in Queen Valus's expression. The coldness cracked just slightly. She walked toward his cell, stopping just outside the bars. You understand, she said softly. After seeing that, you still understand. I'm a soldier, Kieran said. I've seen hard choices before. I've made them. This is war. War against extinction. And in war, there are no gentle options. Queen Valus stared at him for a long moment. Then she turned to the assembled tribe. The human has passed the gauntlet, she shouted. According to the old law, warriors may now compete for the right to claim him. The reaction was immediate. Dozens of warriors stepped forward. Their eyes blazed with hunger and determination. Commander Zara raised her spear. I claim first right. I captured him. I claim blood right, shouted another warrior, taller and covered in battle scars. I am of the ancient bloodline. My children will be strongest. More voices joined. More warriors pushed forward. Kieran realized with growing horror that they were going to fight, possibly to the death. Over him, Queen Valus raised her hand. Only champions may enter the combat circle. All others, stand down. 12 warriors stepped forward. Each one was massive, scarred, deadly. These were the elite, the tribe's most dangerous fighters. They formed a circle in the village square. The execution stone was cleared away. Fresh sand was spread on the ground. Battle sand, white as bone. The rules are ancient, Queen Valus announced. 12 enter. 1 leaves. The victor claims the male. Combat begins when the drums stop. The voice cut through the air like thunder. Everyone froze. Queen Valus stepped down from her platform. She walked toward the combat circle. Her armor caught the light of the twin suns. Her golden eyes blazed with an intensity Kieran had never seen before. I invoke the ancient right, she said, her voice carrying across the entire village. The crowd gasped. Warriors whispered to each other in shock and disbelief. Commander Zara stepped forward, her face pale. My queen, you cannot mean. I will fight for this human, Queen Valus said, drawing her blade. The metal sang as it left the scabbard. And I will kill anyone who challenges my claim. The silence was absolute. No one moved. No one breathed. Kieran's heart pounded. "What's happening?" he whispered to the guard near his cell. The guard's voice shook. "The Queen has never claimed a mate. Never. In 20 years, she has remained alone, saying no male was worthy." She looked at Kieran with something between awe and fear. "But she just entered the combat circle. For you." Queen Valis stood in the center of the circle, surrounded by the 12 champions. She turned slowly, meeting each warrior's eyes. "Will any of you challenge me?" she asked softly, dangerously. One by one, 11 warriors stepped back. They lowered their weapons. They knew they couldn't win. But one remained. A warrior as tall as the Queen, with silver hair and eyes like ice. Her armor was darker than the others, made from some creature's black scales. Scars covered her face in deliberate patterns. "I challenge you," the warrior said. "Commander Thera, your childhood rival, your equal in battle." Queen Valis smiled. A true smile, full of joy and bloodlust. "At last," she said. "I was hoping you would." The drums began to beat. Slow, steady, like a heartbeat. The two greatest warriors of the tribe circled each other. Neither blinked, neither breathed. "You choose weakness, Valis," Commander Thera said. "This human is soft. He will make you soft. He will destroy everything you have built." "Or," Queen Valis said, "he will make us stronger in ways you cannot imagine." "Then prove it," Thera growled. "Prove he is worth your bloodline." Their blades met with a sound like lightning striking stone. The battle for Kieran's fate had begun. The blades moved so fast, they became blurs of silver light. Queen Valis and Commander Thera fought like forces of nature. Each strike powerful enough to shatter bone. Each block precise enough to split hairs. The crowd watched in complete silence. Even breathing seemed too loud. Thera struck high. Valis ducked and spun, her blade cutting toward Thera's ribs. But Thera twisted away impossibly fast. Their weapons clashed again and again. The sound echoed through the village like thunder. "You have gone soft, old friend," Thera said, breathing hard. 20 years on the throne. 20 years without a real challenge. You have forgotten what it means to truly fight. "I have forgotten nothing," Valis growled. She attacked with renewed fury. 5 strikes in 2 seconds. Thera blocked 4, but the 5th cut across her shoulder. Blood sprayed onto the white sand. Thera laughed. The sound was cold and wild. "First blood to you, but this fight is far from over." She launched herself forward with terrifying speed. Her blade became a whirlwind of death. Valis blocked, parried, dodged. But Thera was relentless, driving her back. Step by step, Kieran gripped the bars of his cell. His knuckles turned white. He had seen combat before, trained soldiers fighting for their lives. But this was different. This was ancient, primal. 2 apex predators fighting for dominance. And one of them was fighting for him. Thera's blade sliced across Valis's leg. The Queen stumbled. Blood ran down her purple skin, staining the sand beneath her feet. "You see?" Thera shouted to the crowd. "The Queen bleeds. She is not invincible." But Valis didn't fall. She straightened, her golden eyes blazing with fury. "I have bled in 300 battles, Thera, and I have won 300 battles. What makes you think today will be different?" She attacked with a speed that seemed impossible for someone injured. Her blade became an extension of her body, flowing, deadly, beautiful. Thera tried to block, but Valis was everywhere at once. High, low, left, right. The silver-haired warrior's defense began to crack. Valis's blade cut deep into Thera's arm, then her side, then her leg, each wound precise, calculated, not killing blows, but weakening ones. Thera dropped to one knee, gasping for breath. Blood covered her dark armor. "Yield," Valis commanded, her blade at Thera's throat. "Never." Thera spat blood onto the sand. "Kill me, or I will rise again." Valis stared down at her oldest rival. For a moment, emotion flickered across her face. Something like sadness, like regret for what had to happen. "You were my sister in battle," Velas said softly. We trained together as children, fought side by side in the great wars. I do not wish to kill you. Then you are weak, Thera said. Just as I claimed. No, Velas said. I am strong enough to show mercy. She pulled her blade back and slammed the handle into Thera's temple. The silver-haired warrior collapsed, unconscious but alive. The crowd erupted. Warriors chanted the queen's name. Drums thundered. Children screamed with joy. But Velas didn't celebrate. She took one step forward, then another. Her leg gave out. She fell to her knees in the blood-stained sand. My queen! Commander Zara rushed forward. But Kieran was faster. He didn't think. He just moved. His cell door was open. They had unlocked it so he could watch the battle clearly. He ran across the arena and dropped beside the queen. Don't touch me, Velas gasped. But her voice was weak. I am still your queen. You're injured, Kieran said firmly. His military medical training activated. He examined her wounds quickly. The leg cut was deep, very deep. She was losing blood fast. You need immediate treatment, or you'll bleed out. Let her bleed, a voice said. Kieran looked up and saw one of the warriors approaching. Her face was cruel. The weak die, even queens. Step back, Kieran ordered. His voice had the command tone he'd learned in officer training. Sharp, absolute. Now. The warrior hesitated, surprised by his authority. Commander Zara intervened, raising her spear. The human speaks truth. Our queen needs help. Any warrior who interferes will answer to me. Kieran tore strips from his shirt and wrapped them tightly around Velas's leg. The bleeding slowed, but didn't stop. I need clean water, alcohol if you have it, and something to use as thread for stitches. Warriors rushed to bring supplies. Kieran worked quickly. He had done field surgery before during combat situations. His hands were steady, despite the chaos around him. Why? Velas whispered, her golden eyes watching him closely. Why do you help me? If I die, you would be free. Free to what? Kieran said, cleaning the wound. Starve in the jungle? Get torn apart by another beast? You saved my life by claiming me. Now I'm returning the favor. I did not save you, Velas said, wincing as he began stitching. I claimed you, like property. Maybe, Kieran said. But you also risked your life for me. You fought your own warriors, your oldest friend. That's not how someone treats property. That's how someone treats. He paused, choosing his words carefully. Someone they value. Velas stared at him. Something in her golden eyes changed, softened. The stitching took 20 minutes. When Kieran finished, he bandaged the wound properly. You'll need to stay off that leg for at least 3 days. No fighting, no training, just rest. I am queen, Velas said stubbornly. I do not rest. Then you'll die of infection, Kieran said flatly. Your choice. For the first time in 20 years, Queen Velas didn't have a response. They carried the queen to her private chambers, a massive room carved into the largest tree in the village. Kieran insisted on staying with her to monitor the wound. The other warriors didn't argue. He had proven himself, not through violence, but through care, through knowledge they didn't possess. Night fell. The twin suns set, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. Velas lay on furs, her injured leg elevated. She watched Kieran as he checked her bandages. You are strange, she said quietly. Strange how? Kieran asked, adjusting the wrapping. You do not fight with strength. You fight with mind. You do not demand respect. You earn it through action. You do not see me as a prize to be won. You see me as... She struggled to find the words. A person. Kieran sat back on his heels. On Earth, we have a saying. True strength isn't about how hard you can hit. It's about how many times you can be hit and keep standing. You fought 12 warriors today, nearly died, and you're still here, still leading, still protecting your people. He met her golden gaze. That's the strongest thing I've ever seen. Valus was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was barely a whisper. In 20 years, no one has cared for me. I have been queen, commander, leader, but never cared for. A single tear rolled down her scarred cheek. I did not know how much I needed it. Kieran reached out slowly. He wiped the tear away with his thumb. Everyone needs to be cared for, even queens, especially queens. Valus caught his hand. Her grip was still strong despite her injuries. You fight, not with strength, but with compassion. Perhaps that is why no warrior before you proved worthy. She pulled him closer. Lieutenant Kieran Holt, I choose you. Not as a prize, not as property, but as an equal, as a partner. Equal? Kieran asked. I thought males were considered lesser here. The old males were lesser, Valus said. Weak, afraid, unable to adapt. But you, her golden eyes blazed with intensity. You are different. You survived the impossible. You understood our ways without judgment. You showed mercy when others showed only fear. You. She touched his face gently. You reminded me what I had forgotten, that strength and compassion are not enemies. They are partners. She pulled him down and pressed her forehead against his. In the warrior culture, this was the highest form of respect. Equals meeting, hearts touching. Stay with me, she whispered. Rule beside me, not as my possession, but as my chosen one. My mate, Kieran finished. Yes. Kieran closed his eyes. Images flashed through his mind. His ship, his crew, Earth, home, everything he had lost. But also everything he had found. A purpose. A people who needed him. A woman who saw him not as weak but as different. As valuable. I'll stay, he said quietly. Valus smiled. A true smile. Full of joy and relief. She kissed him. Not violently, but gently, like something precious. When they parted, she rested her head against his chest. For the first time in 20 years, the undefeated queen allowed herself to be vulnerable. There is something you must know, Valus said after a long silence. Your people will come looking for you. They will find you, eventually. When they do, she looked up at him. You will face a choice. Return to your stars and your people, or stay here with mine, with me. Kieran felt his heart twist. He hadn't thought that far ahead. But she was right. The Terran exploration fleet never left soldiers behind. They would send a rescue team, months from now, maybe a year. But they would come. What would you choose? He asked. If you were me? Valus was quiet for a long moment. I would choose duty. My people before myself. It is the way of warriors. Your people need genetic diversity, Kieran said slowly. But Earth has millions of humans. If I could convince the fleet to establish contact with your world, to send willing colonists, your tribe wouldn't need to rely on crashed ships and the gauntlet. You could have dozens of males, hundreds even. Valus's eyes widened. She sat up despite the pain in her leg. You would do this? Bring your people here? I would try, Kieran said. But it would mean leaving, traveling back to Earth, convincing the council. It could take years, and you might never return, Valus said, her voice barely audible. Or I might return with enough humans to save your entire species, Kieran countered. They stared at each other. Two people from different worlds, different species, connected by something neither fully understood yet. When your people come, Valus said finally, I will not cage you. I will not force you to stay. The choice will be yours alone. She touched his face. But know this, Kieran Holt. Whether you stay or go, you have already changed everything. You showed me that strength can be gentle, that power can be kind, that a queen can be more than just a warrior. She pulled him close. You showed me I could be loved. Kieran held her as she finally let herself cry. 20 years of loneliness pouring out. 20 years of being untouchable, unreachable, unloved. Outside, the tribe celebrated their queen's victory. Drums thundered, Voices sang ancient songs of triumph. But inside the chamber, two souls found something more valuable than victory. They found each other. 3 months later, a signal beacon activated in the wreckage of Kieran's escape pod. He had secretly repaired it using salvaged parts. The message was simple. Lieutenant Kieran Holt. Alive. Coordinates attached. Not in danger. Request diplomatic contact. Not rescue. Repeat. Diplomatic contact. Species in need. Details to follow. The message shot into space at light speed. Kieran stood beside Queen Valis, on the highest platform in the village. Her hand gripped his, their fingers intertwined. "They will come," she said. "Yes," Kieran agreed. "And you will have to choose." "Yes." Valis turned to look at him. Her golden eyes reflected the setting twin suns. "Whatever you choose, know that you gave me something no warrior ever could. Hope." Kieran kissed her forehead. "The choice isn't leave or stay. It's how to save your people. Whether I'm here or traveling to Earth, that's my mission now." "Then you have already chosen," Valis said softly. "You have chosen us. Chosen me." In the distance, among the stars, a small light appeared. Then another. Then dozens. Ships. Terran exploration fleet ships. They had received his signal. Rescue had arrived. But Kieran no longer needed rescuing. He had found something worth more than going home. He had found a future. And he would fight for it.